All right, y'all, today I'm coming at you with some slightly curled hair, gentle stubble. It's casual Thursday here at the Schumann Manse. Today's video is interesting because it goes into a territory that we've not discussed yet, which is storytelling. And not just like I'm reading to little babies in a classroom. I mean, the actual doing of the thing when you communicate to someone something that happened in your life. That is the worst definition of what a story is, but you understand. Because there is one thing that I'm like not hearing anyone do on social media that like kind of bewilders me. Can one be actively bewildered? It has put me under bewilderment. And yes, maybe it's because I'm super sensitive to it as a professional actor, or I just like have ears that listen for human conversation, but it's not hard to do. And I'm gonna teach you how to do the thing that we're about to talk about. You can do it in your content, you can do it in real life, you can do it talking on the phone to your mom. The thing that we're talking about is matching your emotion and your feeling to the way that it sounds like you tell your stories. That's how we rewind, remember? So a few weeks back on TikTok, I posted a piece where I made this observation. Now, I'll be super honest. I'm not always the best at making like quote unquote basic content. I just forget, right? Like I don't have the beginner's mindset all the time. Totally my bad. I have to get better about it. But I made this piece and it sparked a lot of conversation with people. So I was like, this is clearly important. So in this piece, I basically said, I'm hearing people tell stories in their content, speak to their viewers, where the way that they say the things doesn't match what the things are. I'll give you an example. It would be like somebody saying, I think the example I use is about a surprise party in the TikTok, but I'll do something that is wholly other and very strange. It would be like someone telling you about their grandmother who like literally just died because she fell off this curve. Oh, it's gonna get so dark. Sorry guys, we went there. That's not based on anything. I was just like, what do I see in my head? I saw a grandmother and I saw her fall. Not yours, hopefully. But like, you get the idea, right? It's like are you an insane person for telling that story in that way? It doesn't match the tone at all. But then I realized that this is actually more of a skill than I thought it was, and so I wanna break it down for a second. There's a few steps in here, I'm not really sure how many, and I don't wanna get too formulaic with it because I do think it should still feel natural and spontaneous. But it does first take a little bit of self-awareness. It takes being aware of how you do you when you're doing you, in the sense that, say you're genuinely happy with a best friend, you're with your family. How do you act? What does your voice tend to sound like when you are not thinking about it? What is your body language like? And we'll get into that in a whole other video, but what is your voice doing? Is it higher? Do you speak louder when you're happy? It's not that you have to exactly remember, okay, when I am sad, my voice does this. And when I'm angry, my voice does, that's not what we're doing, and I don't mean to treat you like children. I just want you to have some sort of sense memory for, I know what it feels like when Justin is happy. I also have a sense of what it feels like when Justin's frustrated, when I'm amazed, when I'm tired. So the next step is, summoning your story, right? Which is a whole, again, different video about turning your ideas into content. We can totally do a video on that in the future. But then you have your story. It's sort of just asking yourself, what is the kernel, the event, the crux of this thing? And not to be reductive, but if it's a sad story, that would then inform how you choose to show up and tell it. Now, the thing that I'm leaving out is this takes making a very active choice. It takes making the active choice to put yourself sort of back in the moment as if you're telling the story for the first time and that it's happening to you right then and there, right? It goes two different ways. Say I was gonna just tell you that, let's do a happy one because no more grandmothers need to be injured in the service of making this YouTube video. Let's do, I scratched a scratch-off ticket and won $10, right? So I'm telling you the story. This is the story as if it happened 2 months ago and I'm like just, rehashing it. I went to 7-Eleven, I got a scratch-off ticket, I was like running around and I had a quarter in my pocket randomly and I scratched it off and I won 50 bucks and it was like, that's what happened. Okay, so that's like not the most entertaining or engaging version of the way to tell that story. Here's the same thing where it still may have happened 2 months ago, but I'm putting myself back in that moment, right? Okay, so I was in 7-Eleven and I don't normally play the scratch-off games, but I felt like inspired that day, and so I went up and I got a scratch-off ticket, and then I don't actually ever carry coins, but I had a quarter in my pocket, kismet, and so I picked the quarter in my pocket, I scratched, and I won $50. I was very excited about it, and I redeemed it right there and then, and the guy didn't care nearly as much as I did, but that was it. Okay, now none of that ever happened, I fucking made it up. But there is something jovial about it. It actually allows you the opportunity to go on the journey with me, as opposed to me just like telling the story at you. Now, at this point in the video, you might be like, this is wildly fascinating and I am wildly lost. That is totally okay. I'm just talking about marrying what you say with how you say it in service of connecting with the people that you're talking to a bit more deeply and more efficiently. But there's a very interesting question under all of this. Now, first of all, if you're just like, wait, I loved it, teach it again, I will happily teach it again. I just don't want this video to be 4.5 hours long because y'all know the bitch loves words. But there is something fascinating underneath this that I also don't want to belabor, but why don't we do this, right? Why is there this inherent monotony, this sort of like even toned thing? And I'm not talking about like vocal fry Kardashians. Like, we do talk about that a lot. I'm talking about this idea of fear of color when we speak, a fear of pitches, a fear of being loud, a fear of having this slightly performative sense about the way that we tell stories. And what is that about? Now, you know me at this point. I'm a huge believer in how unbelievably impactful people pleasing is on, I'm gonna say it on 100% of people. I'm gonna say in some capacity, everyone deals with this in some way. And for a lot of people, this is acquired, this awareness of self that's actually detrimental, not the helpful awareness of self like we talked about earlier. It happens to us when we're kids. So you grow up with a certain vocal cadence or speech pattern, and you don't go to acting school, and you don't watch this video, and you tell your stories like this. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with this, really, but like, I don't think you're ever gonna be very engaging or entertaining, or, I mean, your fear of literally showing me that you're happy while you're telling a happy story is keeping me from getting to know you. And honestly, at the end of the day, it's keeping you from getting to know you. So that's a little storytelling lesson. I'm not sure you can tell, but I'm obsessed with this stuff. It combines my background in acting with my obsession with how we human through the world, with authenticity, with social media. It's everything I love. I can't even promise that I explained it the best I could have because I'm so excited in this moment. But if this conversation invigorates you, jazzes you up, drop something in the comments. Let's talk about it, because this is one tiny little baby morsel of a piece that we could be doing on how we tell our stories, and I am so fucking ready to dive in. So if you're new here, welcome, what a cool first video. And if you are not new here and you're an old friend, it is really good to see you again. While you're here, like, subscribe, comment, go check out some other videos, and I'll be back again soon. Bye.